The cloud is here. We don't like to be left behind on anything, so this might give you a few tips and hints that you don't know about the cloud. My name is Judy Tallur. I am the president of the SCV Computer Club, and I do many things with APCUG, and I currently am your Region 5 advisor. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. You can see my email address is jtallur@apcug.org. Off we go. So what is the cloud? Is it all Apple or Google or Microsoft or Amazon? Every single one of those would like to be your be all end all. Just do everything with us. And the Apple and Google battles have been on for a while. Microsoft has been around forever, and I don't think anybody is ever going to take over everything totally. So 1 in 5 Americans, or 22%, say, you know, if somebody's been talking about the cloud, I just kind of nod my head when they're talking about it. And if they say, do you know about the cloud? I go, of course I do. Of course. But I really don't. It's a fluffy thing in the sky. It's related to the weather. 51% said stormy weather is going to interfere with their cloud computing. So at least 51% knew that it was cloud computing. So it's the third generation of the computers and the internet. Internet came about in the 70s. There was connectivity, and then we got the web, and we started searching like crazy and buying every single thing that we possibly could online. And along came the cloud with a lot of various and sundry services that we use that are only in the cloud, period. We don't have to put them down on our hard drives. So in 2021, this is what happens in an internet minute. And I have been tracking this for years with the latest graphic, and it's amazing how everything is just exploded. And a lot of it exploded because of COVID. We were at home, we were sheltering in place at the beginning, so we were spending a lot of time on the internet. But with YouTube, 500 hours of content is loaded every 60 seconds, for heaven's sakes. 200,000 tweets, 5,000 downloads of TikTok. We hadn't even heard of TikTok a few years ago. 3.4 million snaps created. And Netflix, there's 28,000 subscribers watching every 60 seconds. If you are a Netflix person, you are out there with a gazillion other people watching it. And with Facebook, 1.4 million people are scrolling through it and reading their feeds. So we join a bunch of other people being out and getting counted every 60 seconds. So back in the day, y'all remember back in the day, as we say, we had a hard drive, also known as a C drive. We went down to the store, we bought our programs, we came home, we installed them. We could create documents, edit our photos. We used the web to search and send emails. I taught tech classes to adults for 22 years. And, you know, my entry question would be, why are you here? And we talked about, you know, the Windows and operating system and computers, and then we progressed all the way through over 12 weeks time with 3 different classes to, you know, ending up with, you know, PowerPoint, but touching on the internet and things like this. They say, oh, I want to be able to search for things. I want to be able to send emails. Okay, you know, but you're going to get a lot more in class. But this is how it started for a lot of people. That's all they wanted to use their computer for. And some still do, just use it for those things. Back in the day, Office 2007, I had that version of Print Shop. I used PC Cillon's Internet Security by Trend Micro. They used to come around and give really good presentations to computer clubs, but I had those 3 things back in the day. The only thing that I am still using is CCleaner. And it was Piriform owned it out of England. Avast bought it a few years ago, kept it exactly the same. But that is one of the 2 programs I pay for every single year, and I always have. So I have been using CCleaner since, way before 2007, but I thought this was some good graphics. So we were tied to our computers. Our programs, our data, our photos, they were all on our hard drive, and we couldn't access them from another device or computer. Absolutely nothing like it is today. But I like this graphic, but there were, you remember the CRT monitors from back in the day. I can remember mine at work. There were yellow Post-its all the way around the outside edge, because the outside edge was about 1.5 inches or so, and you could just put your Post-its around there to remind yourself, and 9 times out of 10, if you lifted up somebody's keyboard, their password was on a yellow sticky underneath their keyboard too. A whole different world. And all of a sudden, we could save content to our storage devices. Take the device over to somebody's house. They had a PC or a Mac. Oh my gosh, I can plug this in and I can show you guys this stuff. Whether it was CDs or flash drives or an external hard drive or a SD card for our photos. I can remember, relative to the other slide, I moved my youngest daughter and her family to Denver. They moved to Parker, California. She put 3 HR departments for Borax 20 mule team folks together, and they decided to go to Denver, so she decided to go along with them. And it was first couple of weeks in January, and that was when APCUG had their conference in Las Vegas, and everybody said, oh my gosh, you have everything. What are you going to do? Well, I had to unplug my external hard drive. I said, no big deal. I had backed it up to there, and I put it in my purse, got on the airplane with Stacy and Jack and the cat, and flew to Denver. And whenever they needed anything, I just went to her computer and I had it all on that external hard drive, and life went on. How much easier that would be today when everything is in the cloud. So where in the world is the cloud? What is it? Where is it? Are we in the cloud now? I'm looking out my window and I have no clouds out there. But these are questions that you've heard or even asked yourself. Where is that thing located? Well, it's merely storing and accessing data and programs over the internet instead of your computer's hard drive. And now with our SSD cards, they make, turning on our computers and working with them so fast, and they are not huge. We used to have huge platters that looked like, I would hold it up the first day of, school and say, okay, what does this look like? And somebody out there was, it looks like a record player. And I said, well, you're right. It's a platter and an arm, same thing. So the cloud is just a symbol for the internet. It's been around since 1977 when it was used in a flow chart to represent a connection to the internet outside computers. Nobody knows why the guy who put the flow chart together decided to use a cloud, but he, that's his quote invention, so to speak. It's there, you can't see it. Well, we know the cloud is there up in the sky and we can't see inside it either. So it's convenient. It's reliable. We can access it from any device with an internet connection. We can share our photos, our documents, and of course, it is a very effective backup solution. As when we're all doing redundant backup and having one, more than one place where we back up. So this gives you an idea of, your desktop, your laptop, your smartphone, your tablet. You can share all that information that you have in the cloud with all of your devices. So do you use web-based apps? I ask that of people and they'll look me right in the eye and go, no, absolutely not. Well, Yes, you do. They're stored on a remote server, not on your hard drive, and you really do access them over the internet. We browse. We can use Chrome or Edge, Firefox, Opera, Vivaldi, DuckDuckGo, or Avast secure browser. All of that is in the cloud somewhere. Back in the day, we would have our email would come onto our hard drives. There's only a couple of programs that does that now. All our messages are in the cloud. When I went to Google's home office out of San Jose after one of my Southwest technology conferences, and they had a thing flowing up, what in the world is that? And it was like a waterfall, and you could see through it. And they said, oh, those are all the searches around the world. And it was just zipping by. And it was just so interesting to look. And every time we search, our search could be coming down that wall. So where does everything live? That's one of the things that my students could never quite understand. That's on a network of servers, and we need the Wi-Fi to access it. So we can go to any of those places and take a look at our data. We can send an email, do some research, whatever we'd like to do. We have nothing to forget. Oh my gosh, I left the USB drive at home. Or it's in my other purse. I forgot about it. Oh geez, it's in the car. And I had to park far away from where I am right now. And I just don't want to get it. And of course, our external hard drive, it just stays at home inside our laptop or our desktop. At its basic level, the cloud is just fancy talk for a network of connected servers. And a server is just a computer, theoretically, like we have right here, that provides data or services to all of our devices, no matter what they are, over the internet. They're called server farms or data centers, and they have massive storage and processing power. Many of them up in Washington and Oregon are located close to dams where all the water is, and the energy price is lower at that particular area. But here's Google's network, and they would not tell me where all of their stuff is, but this is their published map. And they let me know that my email just isn't on one server. It's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit over there. And when I open my email account, it all just kind of comes together. So here's a data center in Oklahoma. Bill James, he's probably given a presentation to your group. He is a member of the Speakers Bureau, and he has a Google data center in Oklahoma. And he said, not many people work there. It kind of runs itself. Therefore, security is not too shabby because there's not a gazillion people coming in and out all the time. He said there is a very small town associated with this. The people who work there actually live in the town past that's a little larger. And they thought it looked really boring, so decided to paint one side of the facility. And they have done this with many of the other storage centers. This is what it looks like inside. Lights are dim, keeping it cool as they possibly can. And there are just racks and racks of hard drives. They're also kept in truck trailers. You never know when somebody's going to say, I'm working on a project and I need to rent one of those. I need the server, a big server next to my whatever, to make it easier for me. So they're in containers and can be hooked up, and off they go. Just like this one back in the day with the Nebula project. And they parked that right next to their sorry about that. I had a glitch right there. And all of their data was in the storage unit, and it was quicker for them to get the information out to their scientists and their researchers. They didn't have to wait around. It was all there. And when they were finished, off it went. Pros and cons. Yeah, do you trust it or don't you trust it? Well, the data is encrypted. When it leaves your house, it's encrypted on its merry way, just like when you give your credit card information to a shopping site that has HTTPS, so you know it's secure. The credit card gets encrypted when it leaves your house, and when it gets to where you are buying the product, the numbers get put back together so it can be used. And it's a good thing to use because you'll never use all the space on your hard drive. And as I said, these SSD drives are a lot smaller than what we were used to when we kept everything on our hard drives. If our device, whatever it is, crashes, we'll still have access to our files. I have had 2 hard drives die, and both of them were in the summer just before the Southwest Tech Conference. And if I had not had a complete backup of all the data, I would have had to cancel the conference because I did registration, I planned all the workshops, I put all the documentation together. And if I could not have been able to access that, gone. And it'll take you a long time to use up all your space in the cloud because the providers, it's just not a little bit. You can buy, I have two terabytes of space, which I will never use in this or any other lifetime, at iDrive in Calabasas, which is a couple of valleys west of me. Ease of access in the cloud, anytime, any device, any place in the world. You're off on your cruise, you've gone to visit relatives in Europe. Hey, no big deal. You can access everything from wherever you are. But, big but, you need a fast, reliable internet connection. You slow upload speed. Do you really care when you're uploading it? No, that happens, and you just kind of have to grin about that and think, I wish I had better upload speed, but hey, I can go to bed and I can watch TV while it's happening, no big deal. And people say, is it really private? And above all, is it really secure? So what do we need to access the cloud, and is it safe? I have 2 members in my club. They will not use the cloud. They are both very techie people. They've worked in technology for years, but to this date, it is still not for them. And in my travels out giving presentations to other computer clubs, I found the president of another group says, hey, that's me too. Everybody is different. So you got to have your internet connection. You have to set up your account. You have a username, password, or a preferred passphrase these days. And of course, you need to agree to whatever their terms are. If you don't like what they have in their terms, you're going to go someplace else. So how old is your router? Was at a meeting a few months ago, and this guy was saying, he was complaining about his router, and 3 of us said at the same time, how old is it? He said 10 years old. And we all said, it's time for you to get a new up-to-date router. And specifically, our question was, do you still get security or hardware updates? And he says, I haven't gotten those in years. Well, you need to have a router that is new enough where it is being kept up to date for you. Where is it located? Mine used to be in the back bedroom that was also known as the office. I've moved all of my computers and printers into the family room so I can look out my slider to my view. And I had Spectrum come out, they rewrapped my house, and now my router comes right into the right of me behind my printers, and it sits on a bookshelf right behind my credenza that has my television. And I have much better Wi-Fi access now. But you could try a Wi-Fi extender. Think about getting a mesh network. When Spectrum was here, they said, they were here for 4 hours, and finally said, You really need to use Ethernet for your television and your computer. That the node is down at the bottom of my hill. It's about 3.5 blocks. There's an extender across the street, and it's still, I don't have good Wi-Fi. I have a lot of home automation, and every once in a while I say it just goes on strike. And so I'm using Ethernet for both of those devices. And you need to think about changing out your ISP provided equipment and buying your own so you know that it is up to date. And if you are using your Spectrum, you guys have Spectrum in Florida, Happy Joy, turn it in every couple of years. My daughter-in-law was the head cheese out here for years in Spectrum. My son, before he worked for the city, was a field tech for Cablevision and then Time Warner, and then he went out into the real world and got a job so they could buy a house. And I automatically show up at the office every couple of years with my, when I was using their equipment, I have my own, with their modem, and say, hi, can I have a new one? And oftentimes they would say, thank you for bringing it in. That model is dead at the end of the year. I wouldn't have known that. Most people wouldn't have known that, but that was just my habit. When I was using their equipment, I turned it in so I could get the latest and greatest. So servers are usually located in warehouses like I showed you. Not too many people have access to it. Everything is encrypted or scrambled, which makes it harder for cyber criminals, the bad guys, to access. And again, we had quite a discussion a couple of hours ago with the Glendora group where I gave a presentation on accessibility. It, went into password managers. And I told them, I said, the security is on you. It is what a wonderful password that you put together, minimum of 12 characters, and all the drill with what you put in there. And I said, if the ISP or the cloud people get hacked, if you have two-factor authentication and a good password, you don't care. Nothing's going to happen to you. So you need a good security app. You got your firewall, you got your router, you got your password and passphrase. And please, if you have a passphrase or a password manager, do not include any dictionary words in either one. Bob G, I don't know whether you have had his security presentation this year, but he's out and about with his 2022 security presentation. I'm booking him for California for March, but he says use Malwarebytes. That is my second program that I always pay for. I pay for CCleaner and I pay for Malwarebytes, so I have the pro version. Again, 12 plus, capital letters, number, symbol, a sentence of a word. I gave this to the Prescott Computer Society. Yours would say SCCC meets, whichever second Wednesday of the month. Could be a passphrase. You can put spaces between the words. You can run everything together. That password up there, which would take literally a gazillion years to break, would be the first initial of all of our family animals, no matter which kid or mom has them, with some number sign and numbers and an exclamation point in them. And literally, I've run through that password manager checkers, and it would take forever for anybody to get into that. That's a passphrase. Everything on there means something to me, except two of the animals have died, and I have a new example for one, but this is the original one that I thought of. But it's easy for me to remember because they all stand for something. You got to have a password program. I highly recommend that. It stores your login information. For websites you use, you go in automatically, your encrypted password database, one master password to remember. And Michael at the Glendora group said today, well, I hadn't used my password manager in a while, and I forgot the password, and they could not help me. And we all said, well, yeah, nobody has the password except for you. I always tell people, create your password, write it down 13 times and hide it throughout the house. So if you forget it, you'll be able to find it in your underwear drawer under your unmentionables. Dashlane, LastPass, Bitwarden, they are programs that are usually at the top of the list that they are good. They can generate a password that is absolutely made up of gobbledygook. That's why you need to write it down. And use 2FA. I know when I try to get into my bank, they want 2FA. So if you are storing things in the cloud, you might want to use that extra step, which is what I recommended Michael use. Get 2FA going. Over time, if you have a Gmail address, we are all going to be using 2FA to get into our Gmail accounts. And so you use that in addition to your password or passphrase. And on your phone, you have a password and a PIN number, or you can use your fingerprint, your facial recognition. I understand Apple is going to, be able to understand who you are, even though you're wearing a mask. I get a phone call when I log into the bank. I come in from the same computer at the same address when I access my bank. And each time it says, we're going to be calling you. And the phone instantly rings with those extra 8 numbers that are strictly for me for just a very short time. So what can we do in the cloud after we've decided it is secure and we really want to do some things? Let's go for it. Office suites, social networking, it's all in the cloud. Our email is, chat, Zoom. I'm coming in from 35 miles northwest of Los Angeles via Zoom. I'm in the cloud. You guys are all sitting in chairs. And the ever popular backing up. Great documents, spreadsheets, you name it. Whatever you can think of, you can do in the cloud. APCUG has a newsletter contest every year. And back in the day, they would send hard copies and you would have to divvy them up and send 3, we get 3 copies, 1 to each of the 3 judges. Now it's all in the cloud. We upload them to APCUG's shared drive and we give the 3 judges the access to go in. If they want to download them and print them, they're more than welcome to. If they just want to scan through the newsletters to make sure they meet the criteria for, more than 1 newsletter, they're more than welcome to. It has made it so much easier and less expensive. So a majority of Americans, 54%, said, I'm sorry, excuse me, the cloud, I am not using it. But in real life, almost 100% of them, are really using it. Do you bank online? Well, yeah. Well, there's that HTTPS. Online shopping. I don't think there's not anybody that doesn't shop online someplace. Social networking. There are people who wouldn't be involved with social networking for any money in the world. But for the rest of us, we're doing it all in the cloud. There's not a darn thing on our hard drives. Sharing photos. Here's one from 2012 with 2 little dudes. The kid on the left is 21. The one on the right is 22. They have, different mothers. They're sisters. They just happen to be really close in age. But I shared that with everybody. Playing games. Many people spend a great deal of time playing games. There's this new Wordle game that seems to have hit the world by storm. Well, it's all online. We listen to music. My members, every time I took my laptop into the meeting room and we plug in our nice speaker, we'd have to check to make sure that we had plugged it into the correct audio port because none of us could ever remember which color it was. Duh. And I'd say, okay, let me check this out. And they'd go, are you going to play that song again? And I said, yes, everybody gets the opportunity to listen to Berlin, Take My Breath Away from Top Gun. And they'd have to sit through a few bars of that. Oh, they'd say, the speaker's working just fine, Judy. You can turn it off. That's also the ringtone on my phone. So we can link all our devices. We can print. We can print from the cloud when we get home. The printing is sitting in our, out place. And so if you need to do that, I haven't quite figured out why, but all those things, they all communicate with each other, and you can do it all in the cloud. So I'm really big on redundant backup. We have it on our hard drives. There's an SSD on the top and the old record player on the bottom. We got our external hard drives that we're using some kind of app, whether it be Microsoft. You can even use the backup program from Windows 7, if that is one that you have always loved. And so you have your hard drive, not your SSD because it's not big enough, but if you have a D drive that is a platter, we have your external hard drive, and your redundant backup is in cloud storage somewhere. Like I said, mine is with iDrive in Calabasas, and I'm in the fire evacuation zone where I live in Canyon Country. It ends down at the bottom of the hill where my node is, but I've been evacuated 25 hours so far in the last year or so. And I'm very grateful that everything is in the cloud in Calabasas. When I had a laptop, it was easy to just pick that up and go. I have a desktop now, so I grab my external hard drive, but if something happens, I know that I can get it off the servers from Calabasas, wherever they're located. You can use Dropbox. Several people I know back up to Google Drive. They back up to Dropbox. They do OneDrive. Others of us, there's a lot of us that use, my company, iDrive. They use iCloud because they're Apple people. But that's their redundant backup. They don't use one cloud storage backup. They use more than one. When you use OneDrive, every time you open a document, it comes down. You can choose to put a few on your hard drive, but the majority of the docs and photos, etc., are in Microsoft's OneDrive. And you open them up and you work on them. And when you save them, they go right back to the cloud, wherever Microsoft keeps those kinds of things. And it allows you to synchronize your data. So if you have done something on your computer and then you open it up on your phone, it all comes together, everything synchronizes. And when you go back to your computer, whatever you've done on your phone or your tablet, that's what you see is what you get when you go into the document on your hard drive. So Chromebooks, if you are a fan of Chromebooks, they're all about the cloud. I mean, that's it. They won't say, hey, you need to be connected to the internet most of the time. You don't have to be connected all of the time. We had a mini APCUG type organization in SoCal called SCRUGS, Southern California Regional User Group Summit. And we met every quarter, and two of the presidents brought their Chromebooks. And they typed away, taking notes and everything. And when they were all said and done, they just saved it on a flash drive and, plugged that in when they got home to their regular computer, and they were happy campers. And it uses the Google's Chrome OS. It updates every time you turn it on. They say you don't need any security software. It automatically checks for and applies security updates. And you're using Google Docs. I could easily use Google Docs. I couldn't use PowerPoint, but I could use their type of Word and their Excel programs with absolutely no problem at all. Their PowerPoint program is too austere for me. When the schools in my area shut down on Thursday in March, they opened up on Tuesday using Zoom, and Google School. All the kids knew how to use Google Docs, and life went on from Thursday to Tuesday. Life went on for them. I mean, they had Friday off and Monday off, and then it was back to the grind, so to speak. I have 3 in university, Cal State, and they all use their Chromebooks. They have gaming PCs, they're boys. I have 5 grandsons, and they don't use their gaming PCs. They're still using their Chromebook. They started using them in high school, and it carried over into college. And when everybody came online on Tuesday, the majority of them had Chromebooks because everybody took them home on Thursday. So backup, redundant, hard drive, DVDs, cloud, multiple locations, latest. You have to decide. Do you just want the latest version? That's me. I'd like it to be overwritten. If I want to save the old information, I'll give the new a -1 in the title. Or do you want to keep the versions? Your choice. Do you want to use free or do you want to use paid? I pay iDrive every year, $69 for 2 terabytes. Of course, that I will never use. Free, Office 365, it's unlimited. Google Drive is $15. Google Photos, it was unlimited and that changed in 2021. iCloud, you get 5 free gigs. Amazon Prime, 5 gigs. If you happen to store all your photos in the cloud with Amazon, it's unlimited. Dropbox, free 2 gigs. My iDrive is 5 gigs. And here's what you pay for the OneDrive and all of those various and sundry things. So iCloud, $1 a month. Dropbox is the most pricey, but there's people that don't care. APCUG used Dropbox before we went to our Google Workspace. We have Google's nonprofit email, and with that comes Workspace. And Dropbox was cumbersome for us. So I was very happy when we went to Google's Workspace. So we can organize our life in the cloud. Well, you know, we're retired. We still kind of need to be semi-organized. And we can use Google Calendar. You can color code everything however you want. This is back in the day. My grandson number 3 is a hockey player, and his mother and I were taking him out to Palm Springs on that Sunday for an afternoon hockey game. Kind of a long ways to go, but you know, when it's your only son, you do things like that. And Grammy comes along for conversation, and because I never missed one of his games. And I had a class from 1:30 to 4:30 that day. And I was helping in kindergarten. On every Tuesday, I was in kindergarten helping. Jack was going to have to be taken to the dentist at 2. Oh my gosh, I was doing my cloud class at Golden Oak the following Saturday. So this is the calendar. You can have mini calendars. I tell people that if you are planning a family reunion, instead of sending an email out to 50 people, create a Google Calendar and tell everybody, let me know in either whatever works for you, what day you can't be here or what day is best for you, and then send it out to those with Gmail addresses. And for those who don't have Gmail addresses, you need to make it public. But as soon as you look at your calendar, after everybody that's interested in coming, you go, oh, look, there's only 3 days when everybody's available to come. And when you decide on that, you just delete that public calendar and life goes on. Evernote, this is one of Huey's Poplock's favorite programs. I used to use Evernote a lot. Now I use the Edge collection feature. And you can capture anything, access it anywhere. You can find things very quickly by searching. It is a free program or a paid program. And I was tasked in 2017 to, find out how many groups were on social media. It took me 2 years to do that, but I kept track in Evernote. I'd send out emails and people would dribble their answers in. And the end result was I finally went to all 150 clubs websites and tried to track them down. But I just, life went on for me. And when I found something, I just popped up Evernote and put the information in there. I am using Edge Collections. That helps me keep track when I get ready to put a presentation together. I start saving websites where I've got, that has information that I want to include in my presentation. And so I use Collections for making it easy for me to put my group meetings together and also put my presentations together. And you can send it to all of those different things in the middle snip. And on the left, you see the plus sign, and that when you click on that, it brings your collections down, and you see there and you hover over one and a plus sign comes up and you click on it, and you don't even have to open the website, and boom, the next time you go in that collection, that website is there. Communication with the cloud. We all do this on a daily basis. That's what I'm doing now with you. We have our email. We have Yahoo. My one daughter's mother-in-law uses Rocket Mail, which is a sub of Yahoo. It used to be Hotmail for Microsoft, and then they changed it to Outlook, not their Outlook mail that comes, with the OS, but Outlook.com. Of course, there's iCloud Mail and all that good kind of stuff. It's all in the cloud. There are a couple of programs that you can download your email to your hard drive. I believe Thunderbird is one of those. But for me, those days are long gone. Skype, Zoom, free to use, one-on-one, unlimited time, one for 50, 40 minutes, and then click, and nobody's there anymore. $14.99 a month is all it costs. Many groups only sign up for it when they're having their monthly presentation, because maybe they only meet 10 months out of the year, or they have a season that they meet 8 months, so they don't want to pay the whole yearly fee. Signing up once a month works for them. Google Voice, I tell computer clubs, everybody needs a phone number on their website. There are still people out there that would rather pick up the phone and call somebody than send an email. And a lot of websites that belong to computer clubs, they don't have a way for people to get in touch with them. When they put their website together, it's like they put it together for their members instead of using it as a PR vehicle to draw people in to come to their meetings. You can choose your own number. When we had one for my computer club, it had the exact same message on it. When I had a second line in said office in the back, and somebody would call that and they would get the exact same message that was on our Google Voice number. And you get the communication via email, and it's your choice on how you want to communicate back. Some people, they use the Google Voice as their regular phone number. Spectrum, I have Spectrum's VoIP phone. I've had it since 2015. And Nomo Robo was in a competition in 2014, and they stopped well over 2 million calls. It made it so quiet in my house when I was not getting all the spam calls. And now that the FTC or the FCC, whichever it is, have, as of July 1st, cut down on spoofing calls. I would get a bunch of calls from V and a gazillion numbers, and under that it would say 661 and 252, which is my stuff here, and then have a bogus number. And if people get caught, there's quite a lot of fines. And on July 1st, I noticed again in 2021 that my phone was very quiet. And I have gotten 3 calls today, and they have all been scam calls. And they just, Nomo Robo says, I'm sorry, that number is not taking calls from you. And if it's such that it comes through, they all go to voicemail, because I monitor all my calls. And it has just made it so quiet and peaceful here. It's incredible. There's FaceTime for Macs, 99 cents at the App Store. My oldest daughter's husband's dad knows nothing about computers, but they got him a Mac, an iPhone, and he uses FaceTime to talk to them every single Sunday night. And it's better than him. He always called on the phone. But now he gets to see the kids as they, well, the oldest is 24, as they come and talk to him. And it was so much easier. So he uses, the only computer type thing he does is he uses FaceTime on his Mac, his phone. Stream, play games, social media. How long has it been since you've been to Blockbuster? If you even remember Blockbuster, we had one of the last ones downtown that was one of the last ones closed. Does anybody still have their cassette player, and does it still work? Well, we're streaming video into our devices, YouTube videos on our TVs, attending lectures. That was so much fun here. Our junior college had all kinds of interesting lectures via Zoom, and life went on for us. And I mean, who in the audience who has not watched one or more of those? Back in the day, if you used Locast to cut the cord and watch local channels, everybody loved it. It was not in everybody's area. It was free. They got sued. They went out of business. Problem is, you have to have really good internet access. You need a good download speed. But the cloud computing says to the companies, hey, you know, we don't want to, you know, make our customers mad at us. So they are working on the technology, improving it, the streaming experience all of the time, because that's the way they make their money. Playing online games. John Kennedy is this every Sunday night. He and his wife play games with his son who lives in Las Vegas. And they're online an hour or so, and it's their way of, you know, reaching out to each other as a family. And they play games. Like I said, don't call John on Sunday nights because he's busy playing games. Do you read? I don't know. You guys might know Steve Costello. He reads books in the cloud all the time. He will send out once a month from Goodreads on how many books he has read. Now he's into Wordle, so almost every day he sends out his score, which is kind of boring. I appreciated knowing how many free books he read each month. Social media, as I said, it's all in the cloud. I love Nextdoor. I know they have them for communities that are homeowner association types, gated communities. I'm not in one of those, but you really find out what's going on in the community. It can be quite interesting sometimes and let you know about the latest scam artists that will be knocking on your door soon. And this is how social media in the cloud that's used by older adults. And I guess we can be classed, how sad, as older adults. Some of us are really old. And Facebook, if I want to find out what's going on with my kids, Facebook is the way to go. The one on the left is oldest daughter's brother-in-law. His stepdaughter is in Michigan at the university, and she is getting ready to be in a swim meet. This is the guy on the left with the glasses and the hat. He is one of the world's best Hammond organ players, and they have music every single Monday night streamed via Facebook. You guys know about that. And he has well-known people. If they're in the area, they just join in. This is our new Sheriff's Department captain out here. Last year's was his first year, and he's showing his support of Girl Scouts by buying a bunch of cookies. And this is about the cube. My youngest daughter was the mover and shaker for having the local ice rink that went defunct, having the city buy it and renovate it. So I lived all through her working with that and the mayor, and then the next mayor via Facebook. It was a fun experience. And APCUG is on Facebook. And all of our Wednesday workshops, our virtual technology conferences, and now our Saturday Safari presentations have been videotaped, and they are up on our YouTube channel. Everybody had in 2020, we got to see this live. There's my Berlin Take My Breath Away official video. And there's Tom Cruise with the latest version of Top Gun that was supposed to be out last year streamed online, and that didn't happen. And I'm still waiting for that movie. And I had an evening with photojournalist Pete Souza, and he is one of the presidential photographers that he followed Obama around, and his presentation was absolutely fantastic. He started with Reagan, and when he was out of office, and when he died, Nancy Reagan got in touch with him and said, could you please be responsible for photographing all of what we're going to do to honor him and things like that. And because she trusted him from when they were in the White House. And it's like he was a fly upon the wall. It was absolutely incredible. And he was Zooming it from the East Coast and out here in SoCal, sponsored by our local JC. It was fantastic. I don't know if you're on Pinterest. They say it's for women. Here's one of my members that builds flags out of wood. He sells them. And Instagram, that's my grandson, the hockey goalie. He now is the coach for the local high school team, and he can no longer play hockey to his dismay because he hurt his back. And Abby Stokes, I don't know if you've got people there who remember her, but she wrote a fantastic book for her mother, revised it, updated a couple of times. And she was on Twitter and she lurked. She followed all these tech gurus that she was impressed with. And when she got enough information from him and enough knowledge, then she wrote her book, and then she started participating in Twitter. We got information about the Bobcat fire evacuation. I love the guy on the right. He was selling a bottom line solar. And this was a post, and it described him except for his shoes. Shoe color unknown. And when he got to my door, I said, oh, you're the solar guy. I can say your shoes are black. And he laughed and he said, and I got a kick out of him because he looked at the white hair, thinking, how can this old lady know about stuff like social media? I loved it. If you're into the Internet of Things, everything in the Internet of Things is in the cloud because it's Wi-Fi. But you got to have the same thing for all of your devices, good security. And so after presentation discussion, what kind of security programs are you using? We learn from each other. Are you happy with your password program? How does it work? Is it easy? What are you using to back up? What are your favorite cloud apps? And if you're into home automation, how's it working for you? Do you have good coverage? Unlike mine, that I tell you, my Spectrum goes on strike every once in a while. But a lot of good discussion areas. And I have resources for everything that I've talked about. And I got an email from Take Control Books that used to be located in San Diego. Actually, it's totally in the cloud. And the publisher happened to live in San Diego. But he apparently promised his wife that they would eventually move to her home. And that's in Canada, and it's whatever the province is above Montana, North Dakota, I guess North Dakota and Montana. And they're living up there. He still gives Speakers Bureau presentations, but since Take Control Books, it's just all in the cloud. And he sent me an email that they have an update for the iCloud. So I'm going to include that information when I send this presentation to Bob. In case you're an iCloud person, APCUG gets a discount on all Take Control books. I am finished. Are there any questions?